The world of aviation was rocked to its core, sending shockwaves through global markets and the airline industry alike, when China delivered a stunning blow to Boeing, one of the world's most iconic aircraft manufacturers. In April 2025, the Chinese government abruptly ordered all airlines to halt deliveries of new Boeing aircraft and American-made parts, catching the industry completely off guard. The announcement was swift, decisive, and left no room for negotiation. The skies, once a symbol of connection and progress, suddenly became the new front line in a bitter conflict between two global superpowers. Airports that once bustled with activity now stood eerily quiet, their runways lined with grounded jets. For decades, Boeing and China had been vital partners. Chinese airlines were not just customers, they were a driving force behind Boeing's international growth, accounting for a significant portion of its global sales and future orders. Overnight, that relationship was severed, a powerful political statement that reverberated far beyond the aviation sector. The trust and cooperation built over years vanished in an instant, replaced by uncertainty and suspicion. China weaponized its massive aviation market, turning a multi-billion-dollar revenue stream into leverage against the US. The move was calculated, demonstrating just how much economic power China could wield on the world stage. The fallout was immediate: grounded planes, shaken markets, and a company in crisis. Boeing's share price plummeted as investors scrambled to assess the damage, and airlines around the world began to question their own supply chains. This wasn't just business, it was a declaration that the old rules no longer applied. The global order, once built on mutual benefit and open trade, was now being rewritten in real time. The decision marked a critical turning point, transforming what began as a commercial dispute into a full-blown economic confrontation. Analysts warned that the ripple effects could be felt for years, impacting jobs, supply chains, and international relations. For Boeing's workers and investors, the news was devastating. Thousands of jobs were suddenly at risk, and the company's future in one of its largest markets was thrown into doubt. The world watched as the implications of China's bold move began to unfold. Airlines scrambled to adjust their fleets, governments weighed their responses, and the global aviation industry braced for a turbulent new era. The message from Beijing was clear: no company, no matter how powerful or established, is immune to the shifting tides of global politics. The Boeing ban was more than a business decision, it was a warning to the world. China's drastic action to ground Boeing jets was rooted not in safety concerns, but in the intensifying trade war with the United States. This move sent shockwaves through the global aviation industry, signaling that economic disputes could have far-reaching consequences beyond tariffs and trade balances. Earlier in 2025, the US government imposed steep tariffs on a wide range of Chinese goods. Some rates soared as high as 145%. These tariffs were designed to pressure China economically, but they also triggered a chain reaction that would soon impact industries far removed from the original dispute. In response, China retaliated forcefully, targeting high-value American exports. Among the most prominent of these were commercial aircraft, a sector dominated by Boeing and vital to the US economy. The new tariffs made Boeing jets suddenly unaffordable for Chinese airlines, disrupting their fleet expansion plans overnight. Airlines that had counted on new deliveries were left scrambling, facing uncertainty and operational headaches. The Chinese government's directive to halt all new Boeing deliveries was a direct and unmistakable counterpunch. It was a clear message that China was willing to leverage its massive aviation market as a bargaining chip. By targeting Boeing, China struck at a symbol of American industrial might and innovation. The move threatened thousands of American jobs and put immense pressure on one of the US's most iconic exporters. The halt froze 179 brand new Boeing planes that were scheduled for delivery to China's top airlines. These jets, worth billions, now sat idle, their futures uncertain. Billions in revenue evaporated almost overnight, and Chinese airlines suddenly faced a fleet crisis. With expansion plans on hold, they struggled to meet growing passenger demand and maintain international routes. The situation escalated further when finished Boeing jets, already painted in Chinese airline colors, were returned to the US, a visible and costly rejection that made headlines around the world. The impact of the trade war was no longer just a matter of policy or numbers. It was now grounded on the tarmac, visible for all to see in airports across both countries. The message from Beijing was unmistakable: China would not back down, and it was prepared to use its economic power to defend its interests, no matter the cost. For Boeing, China's ban came at the worst possible time. The company's stock dropped sharply, reflecting deep anxiety about its future. China accounted for about 10% of Boeing's commercial backlog, now in jeopardy. Years of production and revenue were thrown into chaos. This crisis piled onto existing woes. A recent labor strike, supply chain disruptions, and lingering safety scandals. The sudden loss of China created a bottleneck of undeliverable aircraft. The ban revived public memory of Boeing's safety issues, especially the 737 MAX disasters. Regulatory scrutiny and public distrust intensified. For Boeing, it was another blow in a relentless series of crises. As Boeing faltered, its rivals moved in. Airbus, Boeing's main competitor, became the immediate beneficiary, with Chinese airlines turning to its modern jets. Airbus shares rose as investors anticipated a surge in orders. The trade war handed Airbus a golden ticket to expand in China. Meanwhile, China's own COMAC seized the chance to promote its C919 jet. The ban accelerated adoption of the C919, aligning with China's push for self-reliance. Together, Airbus and COMAC formed a pincer movement, squeezing Boeing out. The risk for Boeing wasn't just lost sales, it was being locked out of a market it had spent decades building. The competitive landscape was being redrawn, with Boeing on the outside looking in. The Boeing ban was political, but safety concerns loomed large. China was the first to ground the 737 MAX after two deadly crashes in 2018 and 2019. The tragedies exposed critical flaws and eroded trust in Boeing. Even after the MAX returned to service, skepticism lingered in China. The January 2024 Alaska Airlines incident, where a door plug blew out mid-flight, renewed fears about Boeing's quality control. For China, these incidents reinforced doubts about Boeing's reliability. The delivery ban resonated with public and regulatory concerns. Boeing's reputation in China was already fragile. The trade war simply pushed it over the edge. Safety and politics had become inseparable in Boeing's China crisis. Just as the crisis deepened, a diplomatic breakthrough arrived. In May 2025, the US and China agreed to a temporary trade truce, rolling back tariffs for 90 days. China lifted the Boeing ban, offering a lifeline to the embattled company. Boeing scrambled to clear its backlog, with Chinese airlines set to receive long-delayed jets. The resumption of deliveries signaled hope, but the damage was done. The truce was only temporary. Underlying tensions remained. Chinese airlines had deepened ties with Airbus and COMAC during the ban. Trust in Boeing had been shaken. The future depended on fragile negotiations and shifting politics. The truce was a glimmer of hope, not a full recovery. The events of 2025 marked a dramatic turning point in global aviation, sending shockwaves through the industry and altering the balance of power that had existed for decades. For years, the skies were dominated by two giants, Boeing and Airbus, whose rivalry shaped the choices of airlines and the experiences of travelers worldwide. But in 2025, a new player emerged onto the world stage, challenging the status quo and forcing the industry to adapt at an unprecedented pace. Boeing's near duopoly with Airbus now faced a credible and determined threat from China's COMAC, a company that had long been seen as an underdog, but was now making headlines across the globe. The ban on Western aircraft forced Chinese airlines to rapidly embrace the domestically produced C919, accelerating COMAC's rise and giving it a unique opportunity to prove itself on the world stage. What began as a matter of national pride quickly transformed into a strategic necessity, as China sought to secure its aviation future and reduce reliance on foreign technology. Every new C919 order not only boosted COMAC's production numbers, but also gave the company invaluable experience, technical know-how and growing credibility among international airlines. Even if US-China relations eventually normalize, Boeing now faces a formidable third competitor, one that is backed by a nation determined to become a global aviation powerhouse. For airlines and travelers, this new era means more competition, more choices, and inevitably, more complexity in the skies as fleets diversify and new routes open up. The world's airspace will soon be filled with a more diverse range of aircraft than ever before, as airlines weigh their options and seek the best value and performance for their passengers. Boeing, once the undisputed leader, must now work harder than ever to rebuild trust, demonstrate its commitment to safety, and prove that it can still lead the industry in innovation. The truce between nations has reopened the door to global cooperation, but the room is now more crowded and competitive than ever before. The crisis of 2025 was a wake-up call for the entire industry, a stark reminder that nothing in aviation can be taken for granted, and that change can come swiftly and unexpectedly. As the dust settles, one thing is clear: the battle for the skies has only just begun, and the future of global aviation will be shaped by competition, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of excellence.